Everyone, this is Yeshua said my name. A social credit score. What exactly is that? Well, lately in the news, it's been a hot topic in the news. China is, by the end of 2020, rolling out a social credit score system where every person in the country will be monitored by smart cameras everywhere, street corners, back alleys, workplaces, right outside your home, everywhere you can think of, there will be a smart camera monitoring your face for facial recognition. It is called a social score, social credit score. I will be playing you a short video in a moment. It's about a 2-minute video segment. But what's interesting to me about this story is it reminds me of something Jesus said in Matthew 10:21. And brother shall deliver up brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. Matthew 10:21. People are being encouraged in this social credit score system in China to turn in citizens that they feel are not model citizens. And by doing so, they will be rewarded with fancy hotel stays, first class airline tickets, and such. There'll be government perks for turning in a family member or a friend or an acquaintance who you think might be an enemy of the system. So it reminds me of what Jesus said in Matthew 10:21, that family members will betray family members for this beast New World Order system. If you are considered a bad citizen or your social credit score drops according to the government and their surveillance system, you will lose privileges to travel, to fly, to own businesses. Your face, let's just say you're jaywalking across the street, your face will be put up on a monitor in the square or on the street that you're walking in. There'll be television monitors as well displaying your face if you happen to jaywalk, let's just say, or do something you shouldn't, and be publicly shamed for doing so. So by the end of 2020, this system is said to be rolled out. So I want to play you a couple of minutes of this video here so you get a better idea if you're not familiar with this latest news topic coming out of China. And we're going to discuss, will this affect the United States? I believe it will, because it's part of the beast system and it's unrolling rapidly in our time. Let's listen for a moment.
Imagine living in a place where every social interaction you make is monitored by the government in a massive social credit system. The Chinese Communist Party is trying to make this a reality, and in some parts of the country, it already exists.
And it is going to rate Chinese citizens on all kinds of things. Everything from whether they post critical comments of the government on chat rooms to whether they are jaywalking on the street.
It sounds like a page ripped out of an Orwellian nightmare. What could get your social credit score docked might surprise you. Have you ever forgotten to pick up after your pet? Maybe you took them out without a leash. Those actions could get your dog taken away in Jinan, or a pilot of the system is in place. But the system China has in mind goes well beyond pet ownership. It will theoretically impact every part of a person's life.
Social credit score, it seems so benign, right? It's just like having a banking credit score. But in reality, it's not. It's very different. It's much more coercive in all aspects of a person's life.
There are also rewards for those considered model citizens, like first-class tickets and ritzy hotel rooms. In another pilot, good scores can even get you better matches in China's premier dating app. Slated to go nationwide in 2020, the Chinese Communist Party says the goal of the system is to instill the idea that keeping trust is glorious and breaking trust is disgraceful.
I think we can all agree that jaywalking, for example, is sometimes dangerous. The question is whether something like jaywalking should determine your ability to get into a university, or to ride on a train across the country, or to leave the country, in fact.
Now, I want to pause this for a second for a statement. I've also read in news articles, and you can look this up yourself, that if your social credit score drops, that you, and eventually when the microchip is implanted, which I'll do a video on again soon, updating that technology, let's just say the government surveillance system wants to shut off your microchip so you can't buy or sell. Of course, those of us who adhere to scriptures know that unless you take this mark, you will not be able to buy and sell anyway. But let's just say you take this chip. And the government decides based on its your social credit score that they do not want you to go to the grocery store, or they don't want you to travel, and you're paying for a ticket or buying your groceries by swiping your right hand or having your forehead swiped, and they decide to remotely turn off your microchip. So this is a complete government surveillance system. So not only is Sweden going the way of the microchip and buying and selling in droves, but China is now rolling out this social credit score system. And for those of us who feel this isn't going to go global and this isn't going to affect this country because we're in the US, think again.
China already has a massive high-tech surveillance network in place, which could be used by the social credit system. But if you think the idea will be limited to China, think again.
See?
It will move outward to some other countries, right? And that's where you've heard people talking about the idea of an axis of authoritarians. These authoritarian states that are looking to keep greater control over their people. And this is one way to do it.
So I'll end that right there for a moment. So look up these videos on the social credit score if you're interested. But I wanted to relay, like I said, what we're seeing in the news. And I might even have a couple stories a day, depending upon what is happening. There's always something happening in the world. However, let's end this video with Matthew 10:21, where Jesus said, "And brother shall deliver up brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death." Matthew 10:21. So if you are, and I read this on some news sources here, that if you turn in your neighbor or a family member for being criticizing the government or being against something in the government, according to your social score will not only drop, but you could be imprisoned and your life strictly prohibited from just everyday things. So it eventually turned into the point where family members and neighbors and friends will turn, even spouses will turn one another in and have them put to death for rising up against this new world order beast system. So will this social credit score come to America? Maybe not tonight or tomorrow, but I do believe that it's on our doorstep, and it's being watched by the global elitists, how this is being rolled out. And in China right now, the global elites are watching how Sweden is handling this cashless society and microchipping. I mean, we're almost cashless as it is now, but to see how it goes. And they're implementing this and drip feeding it to the world system. And it's going to slowly roll out. And of course, they're going to feed it to the populace as a good thing. Remember, what does Scripture say? As soon as they say peace and security, then sudden destruction comes upon them. We're at those times, guys. Thanks for listening.